Just starting out on the injury front, Josh Metellus had a little shoulder pop up. He returned to the game. Jordan Hicks as well. Unfortunate with Ole. Cannot get into the details on, it's just a left leg injury. We're still evaluating him, but it does not look good. Really, really unfortunate and disappointed for him, and we'll provide some more details when we get more information on that. Christian Darrisaw tried to go, kind of aggravated that left ankle in warm-ups. We hope to try to have him, and then Davenport tried to go as well. Commend those guys on a short week, both trying to go, but he, had that right foot kind of giving him some issues. I think Caleb had cramps in return, but just across the board, very much similar to last week, which turning the football over, coming to this place, NFC champions from a year ago at their place in their home opener, and you lose the turnover battle 4-1, with 3 of them being fumbles, or all 4 of them being fumbles. 7-1 in turnovers lost in 2 games, and we've lost by a combined 9 points to 2 playoff teams from a year ago. So clearly I've got to coach it better from a standpoint of something we talk about every single day. Ball security is a major focus in our football philosophy, but clearly I need to do a better job, and our staff, we've got to go back and continue to find ways to re-emphasize how important it is when you have the football in your hands playing for the Minnesota Vikings, because, like I said, we're really not giving ourselves clean opportunities to win these games the way we've started. And I've got to do a better job, and we've got to continue to emphasize it. But there was a lot to be proud of from a standpoint of the guys. Very rarely can you lose the turnover battle 4-1 and have a chance at an onside kick with a chance to win the game. But clearly, as much as they battled and defensively, we just put them on the field way too much. And, we've got to find a way to right the ship from a ball security standpoint, because that's a losing formula no matter how you look at it.
How do you practice ball security? How do you improve that?
Every single day we do some variation of, a ball security circuit, gauntlet drill, C2 split 2, different variations of working the techniques and fundamentals that we try to apply when having the ball in your hands. We're probably going to have to continue to emphasize different ways of drilling, what comes up. Alex's was kind of, really Alex's and Brandon's are, that one comes up a lot when you're going to the ground, finishing forward, and it's that punch you can't see coming, where you need to have, maintain those 5 points of pressure and kind of all the way through the finish to the ground, and it's the hardest thing. And then Justin, clearly nobody's more torn up about that one than Justin. But we try to emphasize, only reaching the ball out on 4th down. But he's a competitor, and he's playing a heck of a football game and making plays, and he's trying to do whatever he can to win, because that's ultimately what he cares about the most. But that was incredibly unfortunate at the time, and very similar to last week, late in the 2-minute end of first half, a chance to have the lead going into halftime, and then before you know it, the game got away from us.
Kevin, on Justin's, it looked like when he caught that ball, he gets hit right away, and he was juggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And did you have any conversation with the refs about whether that was incomplete?
They looked at that. They looked at that, and they basically said it was possession, and then clearly with the reach, it counted kind of as the football move. I don't think, my hope was that it just, wasn't over the pylon, and I thought that until we saw that last angle, from where I was standing, it did not look like it went over the pylon, but I think they were able to confirm that it did. I think, we just got to continue to emphasize decision-making, technique, and fundamentals as far as the ball carriers go. But like I said, Justin's just trying to make a play in that moment, and the hardest thing to do is to, get a guy not to reach the ball out when they're that close to scoring a touchdown in a critical moment.
What did you feel like just the amount of time the defense spent on the field affected their ability to stop the run?
Yeah, I thought they did a good job early on. They gave Philly some different looks, played a different structure of defense to try to help in any way we could against the zone read and all the plays off of it. They were just, short fields and having to overcome, and eventually they were just, put in too many tough spots. But a couple times ball got thrown over our head. That's going to happen when you're trying to, defend so many aspects of the run game and pressure looks and all those things. But those were big explosives down the field were hurt us because we were doing some good things early on. We wanted to make them have to drive it, wanted to run it, first, second, third, and see if we could possibly turn the football over. But, with the turnover margin being what it was, they were just on the field too much.
And then did Darisaw aggravated after you already made him active, whatever, 90
Yeah, it was past the 90-minute, and, we kind of went into it where he'd be a true game-time decision, and felt like with Quessenberry and Blake up, hopefully we would be able to have really versatile guys behind those guys, with Ole obviously willing to, able to step in, he just couldn't quite. I don't know if there was an actual play in warm-ups or, something that happened, but the hope was he would be able to go and just, couldn't make it.
Eventually there was a stretch where they were running the ball pretty good. I think it was that 16-play
Yeah.
drive, and you guys had a relatively small lineup in there, I think, if
Yeah.
I remember right. And sort of what's in your mind, what are you trying to accomplish with that type of, whether it's one defensive lineman or whatever? What's the upside of having that in, and can you stop the run in that kind of situation?
Schematically in that grouping, was really invited to get a lot of try to get them to call some of those looks and get movement and have players responsible for the quarterback, for the dive, for the different elements of the RPO. And really the hope was we could try to limit the impact and potential explosives and try to make them drive the football and then change some groupings up and use some different elements to, try to just keep them off balance if we could. That drive was clearly one where they were able to execute over and over again, and not having Marcus able to go for a good chunk there, Davenport, and then ultimately just those guys just wearing down. Kev, we just left them on the field way too much. We had the ability to sustain drives a lot of the night via the play pass and winning some matchups in that secondary, but didn't run the football well enough. I knew it would be tough. Being down some guys, but that's a really good front over there, and you don't want to have to play that style against them, especially when you're turning the football over, but the urgency started to pick up once we were down 2 scores.
Do you think that's been a common theme with your running game, the Tampa front?
That's not, to me, that's, we've got to do a better job. We've got to do a better job coaching it. It's on me. We've got to go back to work and find ways to run the football, whatever personnel groupings we feel like give us an advantage. It's just we've got to get more connectedness up front. We've got to be able to attack certain fronts when looks present themselves, and just continue to hunt to be efficient, because it's not a good formula, especially when you're putting the ball on the ground. But it's not a good formula to have to play like that when as confident as I am in our pass game. It's just not going to sustain.
Kevin, that pass game you talk about, just how impressed were you with Kirk tonight, the way he was able to take punishment and produce?
Yeah, I thought just his decision-making, his ability to see the field. I mean, there were some unique coverages to Justin going on out there, and he was able to, assess and use some of those play pass snaps to be aggressive with his arm when we could protect him a little bit. But even then, a lot of times when you're not running it well, those same play pass protections, they mirror the run game in a lot of ways. And he was standing in there. Thought he was just tremendously tough. Ran those 2-minute drives to get us back into the game and at least give us a swing. Had an onside kick that didn't work out, but just really overall, for coming here, playing the way he did under those circumstances, I do know this: Kirk Cousins played absolutely well enough for us to win the football game, and I think there's a lot that he can pull out of it, and I know his teammates felt it as well.
Along those lines, Justin's first 2 games have been pretty spectacular.
Yeah, and it's a great point, because if the coverages that he's seeing, the amount of times he has, even on the throw where he does fumble at the pylon, that's him beating another double team and Kirk finding him. Some of the plays over the middle, he's fearless, and a lot of times when you're facing shell coverage, double teams, you're going to have to be willing to go into some traffic over the middle. His detail, his technique, his fundamentals, and then just his sheer competitiveness. I think it's showing up a little bit with guys like KJ and Jordan. Jordan with another big play on a 3rd and long, kind of a la what happened in week 1. TJ showed up great tonight. I'm excited about, what Justin has really become and his overall football understanding of how he's being defended. I don't know if I've seen anything like it.
Kevin, how much do you have prioritized situations and ball security? Just how difficult is it to sort through like these first 2 games and that overall margin?
Yeah, to me, it's number 1 on our football philosophy. We talk about it a lot. We have meetings about it, weekly meetings. It's all about the ball is how we talk about it. And, to a man in that locker room right now, it is an easy thing to tell them after starting the season out how we have. Combined losing by 9 points in 2 games, but almost having your scoring differential be the same as your turnover margin is not something that you ever want to, preach as a positive. But I do know that locker room's confident. I do know that you get what you emphasize with them. So my anticipation is if we make ball security the living, breathing way that we talk and walk about everything in our building, it will improve. And that's what my hope is, and that's on me. And our coaching staff to emphasize it minute to minute, hour to hour, how we practice, and ultimately start seeing it show up on Sundays.
Do you feel like with the offensive line you have enough options to get through in the building, or is that something you need to go look outside at?
I'll definitely, we'll get with Quace and his staff, and we'll, I do believe we're going to be down. We're going to be out. Ole's going to be out for a while, which is incredibly unfortunate with the amount of reps that he had in training camp. Garrett's, progressing. Austin stepped in there tonight. And then hopefully Christian was close enough that maybe we can project we have him. But I think we're always looking at ways to solidify not only certain position groups, but our whole football team. If there's ways we can do that to competitively attack this thing, we'll take a look at it. But I do have a lot of confidence in our guys. But clearly we've got to do something a little bit differently and really focus on how to run the football better to help our pass game and how we're going about moving it.
Last 2, what's the most effective way to use these 10 days, the extended break between games?
Yeah, we asked a lot out of the players the last 3-4 days, coming off of a really physical game against Tampa, and then tonight was physical as well. So we'll let those guys take a few days, make sure we get our recovery. We're not going to get back till very, very early this tomorrow morning. We'll let them get some time away for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But as a coaching staff, we've got some work to do to ultimately take a look at really an inventory of 8 quarters where, how do we get better in all 3 phases? I think, there's a lot of areas where we can focus on as a staff to play more complementary football, which we have not done up until this point. And I think, there's a lot of ways that we can continue to build each other up. But, my hope is that our team stays confident. We recognize exactly why we've lost some of these games or both of these games and have a really focused, centered mindset to fix those problems.
Last one.
Kevin, what do you think that Jordan Addison's then kind of just become an instant deep threat for you?
He's, really both of his touchdowns now have kind of come on looks where, he's able to get behind the defense with his explosiveness, but then he's also catching, some balls underneath. He's catching and running. His versatility kind of pairing with JJ and KJ and TJ and, Josh and some of the 12s. And I thought, he just continues to show up. He's growing every single time he steps on the grass in our offense. And I'm really proud of where he's at right now. But I think Jordan will be the first one to tell you, hey, there's things that he can improve on, just like everybody else on our team, coaches included, and it all starts with me. And we've got to do that here over this next 10 days or so and show up to U.S. Bank Stadium against the Chargers and try to get our first win.
Well, Kirk, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.